Hello all, good evening. Today we are going to discuss about a very good aroma drug called as cinnamon. Right. So if we hear cinnamon, then ultimately we will be thinking about biryani, right? Yes. So let me start. Cinnamon. Cinnamon. It's also called as Ceylon cinnamon and Kalmi Dalchini cinnamon. As we all know, Sri Lanka is the native for this crude drug. It's generally called as Ceylon cinnamon and it will be also called as Kalmi Dalchini cinnamon. Source: it is a dried inner bark of shoots of composite trees of Cinnamomum xylanicum. So this source has to be understood properly, that particularly cinnamon. So here we are going to use only the inner bark. Bark below there are two layers will be there, an outer and an inner bark. Outer bark will be present, right? So we won't be using outer bark in cinnamon. We will be stripping off the inner bark which will be used. So it's the inner bark of shoots of composite trees. Shoots means here the cinnamon trees will be first coppiceed, which means we will cut the tree leaving a certain height from the ground level. So if you cut, new shoots will come. So in that shoots, what and all bark is coming, we are going to use only that bark. So that here we are studying it as, it's a dried inner bark of shoots of composite trees of Cinnamomum xylanicum. Cinnamomum xylanicum, which belongs to family Lariaceae. So geographical source, we all know it's native to Sri Lanka, but it's now cultivated largely in Jamaica, Brazil and in India. So if we want to cultivate cinnamon, we need a siliceous soil with a rich amount of humus. We need an annual rainfall of around 250 centimeter per year and altitude of around 1000 meters from the sea level. We can propagate it both by sexual and by asexual method. So we can propagate with the help of seeds or else by using stem cutting, right? So we need a sandy soil. It should be rich in humus. We need around 250 centimeter annual rainfall. The altitude has to be around 1000 meters and we can propagate both by using seeds or by stem cuttings. Right. Generally the seeds will be sown in the month of June or in July. So in June or July we will sow the seeds. 10 centimeters distance to be kept between each seed. So we will be putting seeds in holes as like groundnut, and each hole should have a distance of at least 10 centimeter. The seedlings will be provided shades and it will be allowed to grow for around 12 months. So the seedlings will be left as such to grow for 1 year and we will be providing shades. So it will be protected from direct sunlight by providing shades. So after 1 year we will be transplanting it to the main field, which will be done during rainy season. So during the start of rainy season, this 1 year old seedlings will be transplanted, and here we should have a distance of around 2 meters between each and every plant. So when it is transplanted in the main field, each plant should have a distance of 2 meters. And again here also during initial days we will be providing shades, mainly by using coconut leaves, and we will be giving fertilizers such as ammonium sulfate and superphosphate. Okay, ammonium sulfate and superphosphate during first year, and this ammonium sulfate and superphosphate will be given as 2 doses. One after each 6 months will be giving a dose. Right. So after a certain period of time, the trees will be copy seeded to induce new shoots. So as we studied in our botanical source, so after a certain period of time, now we will copy seed the trees. Right. So once you copy seed, once you cut, many new shoots will start to grow. Right. The bark collection process starts when the color of the bark turns brownish due to the formation of carp. So when the bark color in the shoots becomes brownish, then we start to collect it. Okay. So what's the time by which we have to start the collection of bark is when the bark color turns brownish. So when it turns brownish means when there is a formation of coxel, ultimately the bark color turns brownish and we start to collect. The collection is generally done in rainy season since it will be easy to strip off. Yes, we all know bark will be generally collected during rainy season. Okay. Longitudinal incisions were made on the shoots with transverse markings. So with the help of knife, we will be putting longitudinal incisions and we will strip off the bark. The strips thus formed are peeled off, made into bundles, wrapped in a coir matting and fermented for 24 hours. So what and all bark we are collecting, we will tie it packly, means we tie it strongly and we will keep it in a dark place for 24 hours to undergo fermentation. So it's mean that during fermentation the aroma, the flavor of this cinnamon bark gets increased, and also this fermentation process makes the outer bark to get loosened and detached from the inner bark. So we know that we need only inner bark. So during fermentation, this outer and inner bark layer gets loosened so that we can easily strip off the inner bark. Okay. So the obtained inner bark is allowed to dry, and during this process, the bark, upon losing all the moisture, it will round like a quill. It will round off. We may all seen if a bark is dried in sunlight, it will get folded, right? That folding will be called as quill. So now smaller quills will be kept inside bigger quills. So we will be arranging like that, which we'll call it as compound quill. So a single bark rolled off will be called as a simple quill. If you pack many quills by keeping smaller one into the bigger one, then that will be called as compound quill. Okay. So the quills will be packed into bundles and it will be graded and sold off. So during this drying collection process, what and all small debris or small pieces of bark we are getting will be called as quilling or feathering. It's an important 2-mark question, and it's generally asked in GPAD also. What's meant by quilling and feathering? It's a small debris of cinnamon bark obtained during the drying process. It's called as quilling and feathering. Right. So macroscopy, the color will be yellowish brown. It has an aromatic odor. It has an aromatic taste, shape, quill shape, and fracture splintering. Right. So microscopy, it has only 2 prominent layers. One is called as cortex and number 2 will be called as secondary phloem. Cortex and secondary phloem. Cortex shows scleroid cells and pericyclic fibers, whereas the secondary phloem shows phloem fibers, mucilaginous cells, many secretory cells, and bicellular medullary rays. And the important thing is, in cinnamon, cork will be absent. If cork is present means, then it means that we had collected the outer bark also, but which is an adulterant, we can't use it. So cork has to be absent. Cork will be absent. And a prominent character, diagnostic character, means it has biseriate medullary rays cells. Biseriate medullary rays, and between these medullary rays many yellow color volatile oil secreting cells will be present, oil secretory cells. Okay, so that's about a microscopy. If you want, we will discuss about the transaction elaborately in a separate class. Constituents: it contains volatile oil, and the various oil present in cinnamon is cinnamaldehyde, eugenol, benzaldehyde, caryophyllene. So it contains cinnamaldehyde, eugenol, benzaldehyde and caryophyllene. And other than volatile oil, it contains a tannin called as phlobotannin. It contains many mucilages. It contains starch and calcium oxalate, and contains mannitol. It's a sweet taste substances. So that only in taste also we will write as sweet, which is due to the presence of mannitol. So use, we all know it's a flavoring agent. So since it contains volatile oil, we can say it can be used as stimulant, it can be used as carminative, it can be used as aromatic, it can be used as flavoring agent. And since it contains tannin, we can write it as astringent also, right? So the various adulterants are, number one is called cinnamon chips. What is meant by cinnamon chips is it's a piece of untrimmed bark, which means it's a piece of entire bark. Both outer and inner bark will be present, which is called as cinnamon chip. So in cinnamon chips, as we all know, since it contains outer bark, cork shell will be present. Yes. And number two, Saigon cinnamon, which is collected from a place called as Saigon. Its botanical name is Cinnamomum lareri, which is generally collected in China and Japan, which has much more constituents, much more amount of volatile oil. It has 2.5% volatile oil, right? Whereas the genuine Ceylon cinnamon contains only 1%, whereas this adulterant Saigon cinnamon contains around 2.5% volatile oil. So since it contains high amount of volatile oil, nearly the Ceylon cinnamon has been replaced by the Saigon cinnamon, but the original variety is our Ceylon cinnamon. Okay. And the third adulterant is Java cinnamon, which is Cinnamomum burmani. The botanical name of Java cinnamon is Cinnamomum burmani, right? That's about cinnamon. If you have any doubt, let you keep your question in the comment box. I will reply it. Thank you very much.